to introduce myself. Stoner Story Witch.
Because it seems to me that since any work of art is basically a physical manifestation of certain parts of, like, because creativity is something that we don't really deal with directly. We kind of show up and open the doors and all the goblins come out and do their thing. So a lot of times, and I do believe on a real level, that's kind of where we have this human tradition of precognition through ritual. When we do something very, very creative, we are tapping into and opening the doors to things that we can't explicitly name in order to create our stories and our characters. They're all us, and it knows a little bit more than we consciously do because there's just too much going on that our eyes, ears, and skin is taking in for us to deal with. So we have this great and useful filter. But that's us peeling back the filter. So what I'm saying is, I guess, it sometimes will seem like what we're writing is causing a thing, but I think it's more likely that it's showing the thing, because with or without the writing, that thing was probably going to pop up.
Yeah.
It's more like a prophecy of the thing.
Hello and welcome to the Stoner Story Witch. My name is Kristen and I am grateful to be hosting this podcast on the lands of the Chorotega people, colonially known as Costa Rica. So the process has been lately for our writers group that, we meet once a week and we chat about our stuff. We press record to just kind of get some of the antsiness of what it is to press record out of the way. The majority of our conversations are not intended for the public. I will not be at this time sharing any samples of the writing that we are doing, but just kind of more some of the conversations that we're having kind of about the writing process itself. Another thing that I will be including in these episodes, I believe, is anytime each other's work or some part of the process is reminding us of a story or a scripture or a TV show or whatever it is, that I'm including those in here as just kind of part of, Sophie Strand calls it the compost heap, right? It's all in the mix. It's all in the field. It's, Gina Cadlick even mentioned in the podcast, stories really are just like a collective conversation. Dana Lynn Nichols would call it, liberation is collective imagination. And so in a lot of ways, there really are no new stories, and that is okay. And it just means that we all get to be in conversation with each other. And so it feels nice to honor the stories that have mentored us to this point where we are then, trying to bring different stories to life. I just want to reiterate that these writers group episodes that I'm doing in my, what I'm calling season 5, but as they're sprinkled out in the coming months, I'm offering them really as little diary entries into the process of creating something. And so if you've listened to other episodes where, I might be coming at it with, very specific questions, very specific, an intention of what it is that I'm going to be talking about in an outline. This is not that. This literally is, the process of this is I am just listening to old conversations that I had and revisiting those moments, reflecting on them, and then just offering them out as like a little journal entry, like a little diary. So if that sounds interesting to you, oh my gosh. Hello. If you have thoughts or responses, please, by all means, shoot me an email at stonerstorywitch@gmail.com or comment on the post on the Substack where you found this episode. But yeah, it's the idea of just having a personal conversation and offering it out to the collective. And, maybe not everybody has people that they can necessarily meet with, but maybe your mirror neurons can get activated by the idea that like, okay, there are people doing this work. And so I am I am just in it, and this episode and episodes like these are just demonstrating the in itness of trying to bring a creative work to life.
But for me, well, not even for me, like a lot of which I should say astrologers will say that retrogrades are like, it's the rule of re's. So it's like review, revise, reflect. Like it's not really. So I think that's where I've been giving myself comfort in that, like, I literally have like not done a whole lot of new stuff. I've done a lot of thinking about the book. But actually like opening up, and I had this dream of like, oh, doing Mercury retrograde, maybe I'll just be rereading all these chapters and see if I can like, resort them and, like just getting the pacing stuff down. But
that's all valuable work.
And I just had
all valuable work.
And I've also just like had physical symptoms that have made it like hard to sit in a chair for a prolonged period of time. So it's like,
yeah.
Laying on the ground is also a good use of my time, I guess. It
is. I also 2 weeks ago got what I call a hilarious injury, but it's hilarious how they throw the whole week off. I had as you know, I have EDS, and this is one of the reasons why I've always been interested in how much action is in this novel series that I always forget the name of, where the protagonist has EDS, because what I was doing, I have this little couch here right beside me. It's not a tall couch, and I wanted to come here to my desk. So I just climb over my couch, and as I climb over the couch, oops, it's a reclining couch. It moves me forward a little bit, and this little, but I want to stress to you the gentleness. This little guy here, on this very beveled and soft edge, my leg just kind of brushed against it and ripped a 5-inch hole in the back of my leg. And like I had to go and get 11 stitches. Yeah.
What? I mean, that does
look
like hard
like
plastic.
This.
Dang.
Right? But effectively what it was a rug burn got out of control. So like, when the basketball players are sliding into home, I always imagine what happened 2 weeks ago. So it's like, it was this fascinating thing. And it was not really a negative experience. I don't know. Us cooks are kind of good at dealing with, I don't know. We only freak out about little things. Big injuries where we roll with those.
Yeah, we're really good in a crisis. It's all the small stuff that just really...
I can't.
I kind of feel like I'm similar. It's like, oh man, I like because it just you get so much clarity when it's like, this is literally the only thing that matters. But it's like the little small stuff, it's like you still have to like do all the other things.
Maybe it's because when it's really, really important, there's generally a clear path of what to do, so long as you can just think it. Like, I'm like, ow, my leg kind of feels funny. Hobble to the bedroom, look at it. I'm going to the hospital. Dang. Oh, well, I know exactly what to do. Which is fun, which also makes writing both very good and very difficult, because sometimes you know exactly what to do and sometimes you don't, and that's terrible.
God, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yeah,
it wasn't
bad.
Played into how that injury like healed, or like how bad it was, or
so it plays into my own kind of self-care over it, because I have two experiences going to the doctors. One, I mentioned EDS, and the doctor goes, "Oh wow, I was just looking at that recently," or "I need to look that up right now." And can you explain it to me, right? Which makes sense. So what was that? Where was I going with that? Like healing and stuff?
Taking care,
I tend to take out my own stitches. Because I have noticed that folks who are not familiar with my skin, they get pinched and twiggled with the scissors as they go, just because it's so thin. And I'm bendy enough that I can just do it myself. which was
Yeah.
surprising because this is at the back of my knee. I was able to take 11 stitches out. It took a lot longer than it should have. I enjoy getting stitched up. It
Mhm.
feels like you're becoming whole again because until you're stitched, you're not.
Yeah,
It's a unifying
I'm just
feeling.
taking a moment for my heebie-jeebies to just kind of
Yes, 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 yes.
settle.
Let's retract the heebie-jeebies.
Ah. Without going into just like details, I would say part of this Mercury retrograde is also just like there's been like upheaval in some social like dynamics in my life.
Hmm.
Um and recognizing where it's kind of one of those things where it's like, did I make this happen by how weird it's paralleling some scenes that I have written about people like in future chapters that I don't think I've
Oh, I
necessarily
see.
shared with you yet.
Hmm.
And so there's like also a little part, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this story, even though I don't even think I've seen the movie. I think it's Tilda Swinton and Tom Hanks are in some movie where like he's a writer and he's realizing that he like hears a narrator in his head and the whole
Oh, Will
story is about,
Ferrell.
oh, is it Will Ferrell? And I
Will,
feel like you've
and
corrected me that it was Will Ferrell last time. I'm getting weird
ah,
too. But yeah, like I don't know, there's just a weird sense of yeah, I think I've named this before. Like
synchronicity.
yeah, or like how the fanfic definitely just has so many elements of parts of me that I've kind of, like extrapolated and kind of put into these pre-existing characters.
Are, are you looking cause and effecty at this? Is that's where the
Yes.
I'm not going to say discombobulation, but the because it seems to me that since any work of art is basically a physical manifestation of certain parts of like because creativity is something that we don't really deal with directly. We kind of show up and open the doors and all the goblins come out and do their thing. So a lot of times, and I do believe on a real level, that's kind of where we have this human tradition of precognition through ritual. When we do something very, very creative, we are tapping into and opening the doors to things that we can't explicitly name in order to create our
Right.
stories and our characters. They're all us, and it knows a little bit more than we consciously do because there's just too much going on that our eyes, ears, and skin is taking in for us to deal with. So we have this great and useful filter, but that's us peeling back the filter. So what I'm saying is, I guess, it sometimes will seem like what we're writing is causing a thing, but I think it's more likely that it's showing the thing because with or without the writing, that thing was probably going to pop up. It's
Yeah.
more like a prophecy of the thing.
Yes. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, thank God, because I don't know what I just said. No, I'm joking. I'm that
No, but yeah, like
was that was
I
long.
remember uh, our friend gave us a prompt of like the best part about collapse is or something like that or like the silver
Hmm.
lining of collapse or no, I think it was the best part about collapse
Yeah,
is.
that sounds right.
And I remember like riffing on that and that it's about the clarity. It's about the clarity that comes after or whatever is like
Hmm.
essentially like, like there was more that I wrote that related to fanfic, but like that has just been like I've felt like such a deep clarity about things that I just kind of realized I was in a low grade confusion about for years
Hmm.
in like certain relational
Hmm.
dynamics. And it's just like, holy shit. Like
Hmm.
there's grief, there's,
Yeah.
like there's all sorts of other feelings, but there's also just like, oh my God, like
Right.
kind of like a big tumultuous upheaval just happened, but like I have this and I'm just and so yeah, like the idea that like
Wow.
or also like maybe it's yeah, it's a prophecy, but it's also like kind of a life raft. It's like, oh my God, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I know this. Like I've seen this
Yeah.
before. Like,
Yeah. It's showing you clearly what you already know, but you didn't quite know.
right. Or like didn't realize just like it's like, I've had it happen at other times in my life or, like I was, like we've all experienced moments of collapse,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
and so it's like but it was just like, well, and then that's I guess where, like you get the sequel, right? It's just like you get those life lessons that just kind of like it's like the sequel was
Come back,
just
yeah.
like the first one, but they just, it's like because like it's some of these lessons or some of these, yeah, or like just elements of the human experience, like they are cyclical. It's not like, and now you're
Gotten out.
yeah, you're never gonna have an unhealthy relationship with anyone ever again because you had one unhealthy relationship.
You leveled up. Now
Yeah.
you're immune.
Yeah, now you're just immune to it. It's ideas that people have put out into Reddit. It's like, and ideas
Yeah.
are cheap, right? It's like for somebody to actually like kind of be like, okay, and now we're gonna like make that into a thing. Anyway, I think I'm feeling like a sense of I will be dragging my feet for the rest of my life getting this book out if it's just like and it needs to be done before I've like let it scatter its seeds or something and like
Hmm.
letting it be like it can be imperfectly finished on
Yes.
the fanfic websites. And then by the time I, end up linking it to a Substack or recording it, like it's like that it can be like a playful thing that it can be like a larger conversation that maybe nobody is going to engage with it and have any comments, but it's a pretty large fandom. I bet there'll at least be a couple of people or whatever you give it
Oh
time.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's just a part of me that's like, I want to spend more time doing other things than perfecting this thing when I'm not certain that I necessarily will have the clarity to know like enough about this story because I only see the parts that I can see. Or I don't know, I guess I keep thinking that of stories as like an animist being and it's like okay, the original author has this has this huge scope of this story. And when I look at it, I'm like, yes, and this is how I look at it. And, just I want to be open to the possibility of emergence from the larger collective on like what this could be, because I think that's part of what's really fun about fanfic that you don't really get in any other.
Genre, really, the
Yeah.
community collaboration.
Right.
And that acceptance of something being imperfect is really, really good
Hmm.
because that is what gets people into 15-year novels that never get finished.
Right.
This idea you have to be perfect, and I think I must have mentioned when I did a couple of classes with Dion Brand, and she would remind us all the time, no work of poetry or fiction is ever complete. It's just abandoned. And she will sometimes pick up one of her books of poetry, and when she reads it, she goes through it with a pen, fixing it. And she doesn't do anything about it. She doesn't come out with an updated version just for her own satisfaction. I would have done this. I would have done this. But she just stresses that whatever perfect idea that you
Uh,
had, it's dead long before the book is done. But the thing that you've gotten done is still worthwhile. It's almost as if you have this perfect
yeah.
God that you're trying to embody. And then as you
Um,
like, actually do it, oh, I'm not measuring up. That's okay because that's the goal that gives you the living thing. I love how you have it as a living thing. Um,
yeah.
because then living things, with a living thing, we almost never talk about perfect. We talk about mature. We talk
Hmm.
about flourishing,
Hmm.
right? But perfection is more for something that's a dead artifact. So to look at
Right.
a story as something that's alive, I think that's very cool. I don't think I've ever done that before. Um, that would be very
Neither have
interesting.
I, to be honest.
On we go. I love it. That's so interesting. That is so interesting. I wrote down a whole bunch of notes, but I want to ask some questions. This is so interesting. There's an okay, the last just because it was the last thing that you said, um, you want to be able to undermine every story, especially the chosen one, right?
Yeah.
Luke is the hero just because he's the chosen one, or all these things.
Mhm.
And I actually have a buddy who wrote a book where he tried to do that, where you have a hero who's not the chosen one, or he's the chosen one, but he didn't. But this is a very cool way of doing it. You want to make sure that the chosen one doesn't feel like the chosen one, or else we're screwed
Yeah.
because they're going to turn into Elon Musk,
Yeah, right.
right? Because that's what the chosen one is going to become. Mistborn did that. And it worked well, I thought. Mistborn with Brandon Sanderson. I guess Do you care about spoilers? Are you going to read this?
No.
Because it's just so cool. Okay. So, like, it plays with the idea of what if the chosen one actually takes all the power for himself?
Right.
And it's like, okay, so the book starts 1,000 years later. He's the bad guy now, right? That's what happens to chosen ones.
Right.
You know, I don't think Harry Potter is going to actually be benevolent if he can rule the wizarding world.
Right. Right, exactly. Well, and I think what I'm trying to say is that she's not actually the chosen one, but she just kind of happens to be in a particular position of power that enables her a certain like
Yes, she's in a certain
opportunity
position.
that
Yeah.
like everybody's like, we need you to like be part of this team. There's a larger scope of revolution happening, and this particular piece would really help us out if you
Yes.
do your part.
Yeah.
Um,
So then it becomes more of a you're in a situation where you can play a role for good.
yeah.
And when you choose to that, you're not the chosen one, you're the choosing one. Ooh, look at that. The
You're
choosing
choosing
one.
your, yeah, you're
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 choosing.
yeah, you're choosing your your role in that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's really cool because and the way that you're framing it here, even if it exists in the original, the framing of it kind of makes it so that power comes from um, a multiplicity of diverse types of relationships working together, which is a very cool thing because all of them are serving a very different role in this little this pentagram, uh, which is very cool. It's the pentagram of human dragon relations.
Yes.
So that's a very cool, powerful image, which comes right off the tail end. Every time Taryn talks about human institutions, it's funny because he has such a naturalistic rationality, the kind of what would I call it? Um, Everybody gives the jungle a bad rap, right? We always say, "Oh, the law of the jungle, kill or be killed," which isn't true at all because there's more mice in the forest than there are bears.
Right.
It's you know the rule of the jungle is what works works, what fits fits, and you find your fit. And so every time Taryn talks about and tries to, he understands human institutions. He gets them.
Yeah.
So there's no like, what are they doing? They're like, I mean, they used to have these ceremonies where the writers could like they had an understanding, but now they can't even mate. It's very complicated.
Right.
At this place that they call a school, and it's kind of funny that he says that because tell me if I'm wrong, the dragons don't have schools. So this means he
Not that we know.
understands they don't, but he
Yeah.
understands what a school is conceptually,
Right.
and he understands this place, and he's like, all right, whatever. I'm whatever,
Uh-huh.
because he's also kind of tired of it, but he's also not tired of everything because he has this master plan, or at least he's pushing towards it to have all the secret things revealed.
Right.
Um, so he has this. And it's cool because usually when people try to do that, try to create a disconnect between perspectives, they make the perspective ignorant, asking questions. Why would they do this? No, he knows why they're doing this. They're humans. They got their things. They got their books. They got their ceremonies. They can't touch each other unless they sign a document. It's weird, and I'm bugged, but whatever.
Right.
Which is great, and it's consistent throughout it.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that I could cook that a little bit and
That's fun.
make that be a good thing. Segale might be like, how are you not by you not opening it up to Violet, aren't you hoarding your power?
Yeah. That's fun. That's fun. Because those seeds were already there. They just got to sprout. That's
Yeah. We
delicious.
love some
Delicious.
good marital discord, don't we?
Everybody loves marital discord.
Um,
It's a lovely introduction to her. And the repetition works very, very well.
yeah.
It works very well there.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what was very cool? Throughout this scene, except for in the very beginning, so in the very beginning, we ground it very well in Violet because her characteristic reflexivity is there. Here I am, been here, not quite. That's interesting. And then, boom, Taryn takes over in a way that doesn't happen in similar pieces, which I think is very apt because Taryn and Violet are so connected. All of a sudden, Violet's gone,
Uh-huh.
right? Which works really well because she would feel more comfortable in Taryn's head than in anybody else because they've kind of been in each other's head.
Right.
And the other times, it seems like her consciousness comes out occasionally to remind us because she's also going, oh, that's neat.
She's like
Um,
writing it down, like
that's
you think of
true.
like
She's
what we're
writing
actually
this down as well.
right.
And this is also a later scene. So she also naturally would probably have less interjections.
Like how like love's true kiss can like
Start us on the path to revolution or
right.
resurrect an ancient
It's like
magic.
there's something I'm working with where like, you know, just the positionality of Xaden and Violet and the power that they have and the like that like pure unadulterated like the power of like just giving over to like your animal because it's a romantasy, right? It's sexy. We
Yep.
needed sex. We like there's I'm calling it the Feral Diaries because there's a sex scene in the second book where she just, she like tells him like, I need you feral. And I'm like, that's it.
Mm.
It's like the idea of like you giving into your most like feral desire. And
That'd
so
be a great epigraph for the book, for your book. That line.
I
I
think
need you,
I
feral.
think I might have
That's
it, but yes. And so, yeah, I definitely I have to have
what
it
a
somewhere.
seed.
And
I love that.
anyway, thank you for
I love
listening
that.
to me just like continue to be like,
Thanks for
oh, I love
sharing
this
this.
idea. And I fucking just have to like actually do
Just
the
do
click
it.
clicks and make
Yep.
it work and sit in a fucking chair or get a standing desk or something.
Standing desks are good. I don't
Yeah.
use, I mean, I have it. Try to stand. I don't always. But
Yeah.
that is the thing. I had a
Yeah.
friend in college, he called it button chair, hands on keyboard. So he would write bitchalk, button chair, hands on keyboard.
But in chair hands on keyboard. Yeah. I really have a deep desire for like the flow. I invite the story to reveal to me the order
Hmm.
of events and just clarity on the scenes that have like still yet to be like that still have like yet to really be written and so that I at
Hmm.
least get a sense of like, okay, this is the bones. A lot of parts of the book are well fleshed out. We got organs, but
Hmm.
then there's like other parts that like we need to muscle in a little bit more. Whatever. Like I just it's so fun to like look at the fleshy bits with you and be like, oh, isn't this cool? Isn't this cool? But then it's like, oh, but it's still like missing a leg. And I mean, not to be ableist, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. It's there's the armature. The armature.
Maybe.
Armature. There's an interesting. I wonder if I could find that. I had a friend send me this some time ago, And it I don't know if I will. Oh, is this it?
And by armature, you mean like that structure.
That structure that you're looking for, because it sounds like your tension right now is that finding out where do all these, as one writer said, who I didn't really like, she has so many story-like ideas, but no stories. Um, uh,
Uh,
and so all of these scenes are definitely part of the story. And even, if you could even figure out which one's a bicep, which one's pulling the story this way, you could find the armature in them. And it wouldn't even necessarily require that much more scene writing, right? The muscles can become bones.
yeah.
Not in real life, I hope. That would be painful and
Yeah.
terrible.
Well, thank you for witnessing my
Yeah. It's always good to talk. This is great. Very encouraging.
This is helpful. This is helpful.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Until next
All
week.
right. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Thank you, Matt, for continuing to meet with me and trudge along in this journey. Thank you to everyone in my life that has, even if just energetically, has been offering me witnessing and support and companionship in this process. I am still months and months and months away from it being finished, and it just feels meaningful and possible to be continuing on this journey in the midst of these tumultuous times. Just knowing that there are people in the world that are collectively imagining with me and companioning me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, feel free to comment on the Substack post where you found this, or reach out to me at stonerstorywitch@gmail.com. It is my hope that every creator out there who wants and needs companionship on that journey to Oz, to return the ring to Mordor, wherever it is, whatever your story is of your life, it is my hope that you are well companioned and well resourced for that liberatory journey. Thank you to John Williams and Anais Mitchell for the inspiration for the theme song of the Stoner Story Witch podcast, as well as Matt Shuby and Kevin Carlo for their creative juices for the cover art and the sound editing and production. And with that, I will leave you with my quote from Rev. Angel Kyoto Williams that says, "Love and justice are not two. Without inner change, there can be no outer change. And without collective change, no change matters." Take good care, everyone. Bye for now.